Greetings from not Tokyo, my dear friends. This is Daisuke, and how are you doing today? I hope you're doing well. I wasn't planning on doing this video necessarily, but I think I was thinking about it, and ultimately I decided I wanted to, because it's always such a nice thing for me to be able to connect with you and to say hello to you. So I hope you don't mind. And it's just one of the great things about doing YouTube is just to be able to say hello and to meet you, my dear friends, and hopefully make more friends. So thank you very much for giving me this opportunity. As always, I'm always very grateful to you. And just to share with you something that I saw recently. I did receive a couple of comments about this from a number of people, but I recently saw online I saw the trailers for the film Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. This is the film, I think it is directed by Quentin Tarantino and starring Leonardo DiCaprio and Margot Robbie and Brad Pitt, I think. And also there are some other people who are in the film, and I was quite surprised at the cast. So it looks like it's going to be a very interesting film indeed. So I saw the trailers, and I was just wanted to let you know that I was very impressed, and I'm looking forward to watching this film when it's released. I'm not sure what the release schedule is going to be for Japan, but I hope it's not. I hope I don't have to wait like 3 months or something. But yeah, it looks very interesting, and not just interesting. It looks very exciting. Actually, I'm actually looking forward to it. There seems to be a mix of tones going on here. There seems to be a light sort of. A lightness in tone, a kind of comic quality to it, but there also seems to be an undercurrent of something perhaps a little bit sinister. I'm not sure, which is, I think, very fitting in terms of Tarantino's body of work, because he's able to combine many different tones in a way that is very creative and very engaging, entertaining, and oftentimes quite illuminating. I'm very much looking forward to the film Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. And also, I think I've never mentioned him in detail before, but perhaps this might be a good opportunity just to say very briefly that I am a very, very big fan of Tarantino's work. I'm a huge fan of his work, actually. I think he is very exciting. I love his attention to detail, his precision, and he's got it feels, on the one hand, it feels very much like an eclectic, almost potpourri kind of style, but in fact, I think there is a wonderful randomness at work, but at the same time, there is a super strong precision in terms of how he tells his story, what he decides to show, what he decides not to show, the timing of that, and how that elicits a kind of response, both emotional and perhaps intellectual, in the viewer. And all of that is calculated, and it seems to be pre-designed in a way that is so indicative of his artistic genius and worth. So I'm a great admirer of his films. There are some films that I really, really love. In fact, I think I might have mentioned my love for the film The Hateful Eight. I'm so amazed at that film, and just how intriguing its presentation is. I mean, there are some moments that are just so outrageous that I find it to be just overblown and shocking, but I am also responding to that in a way that helps me to engage with the work. Other films that I really like by him are, I think I have to mention Reservoir Dogs and Pulp Fiction and Jackie Brown. I'm so much. I admire those works so much, and I think, in particular, I love Jackie Brown. I'd love to talk about Jackie Brown one day, but I don't want to go into too much detail because I don't want to spoil it. But there's a particular moment where Quentin Tarantino is taking his time with his camera and closing in on a particular character as the particular character is sitting and closing his eyes and thinking. There's a particular moment when the character lingers on a character, when the camera lingers on a character for what seems like an eternity, and there's no talking, it's just silence, and we see this person thinking about certain elements of the plot, certain significant elements of the plot. And I love that moment. One of the things I love about good films is I love the films that show characters thinking. I love those films. I love those shots of characters thinking. They're just maybe sitting on in a room or something, or they're being shown on screen, and they're not necessarily doing something for the sake of something, but they're sitting there, and it's just a moment of them just thinking. And it's one of those things where you see them in their intimate element, as it were. I love those moments. Jackie Brown is filled with them, but there's one moment in particular that is just so poetic, really breathtaking. What are some other films like that, by the way, of great moments of films that have great moments of showing characters that are thinking, or you wonder what they're thinking? There's so many of those like that, but I'm sure you might know, you might have better examples than I do. If you do, please let me know in the comment section below. But maybe some examples that come to mind immediately for me, anyway, is, for example, the film. What's the film called? The Empire Strikes Back. So this is a film that is directed by Irvin Kershner, and so there's a shot there around the beginning of the film of the character whose name is Darth Vader, and Darth Vader is standing on the bridge or the deck of this huge ship in space. It's called, I think, a Super Star Destroyer, and you see the back of his head looking out through the glass, the window, and he's looking out on the fleet. And you see his head turn like this, and you hear his breathing, and then you have the music, the Imperial March over the soundtrack. And I love that moment because it's you see that's a moment where he seems to be surveying which is before him. But that shot appears again later in the film, and it appears in a significant moment of the film. The shot of him, the back of his head, or his helmet, and it's a key moment because I'm not going to mention the details, but I don't want to spoil it. But it's a moment that's showing the character of Darth Vader thinking. He's thinking about something. Now, what is it he's thinking about? Now, that's a mystery. A mystery that probably will be resolved in later films in the series, which is called like the Star Wars films. But the fact that we see him thinking, I think, is such a great moment in that film. And I just love that moment, just seeing the back of his head, and he's just thinking about something. What is it? What is going through his mind? I don't know. It's really an amazing moment. And so I'm sorry. That's just an example of a movie or a film that shows a character thinking. I love those moments. And so Jackie Brown has plenty of those moments as well. But going back to Tarantino, yes. So Tarantino is a filmmaker that I really, really admire, and so Once Upon a Time in Hollywood is a film that I'm looking forward to watching now that I've seen the trailers, and so this is going to be very exciting. I hope it's good, but I have a feeling that I won't be disappointed because I've never been disappointed by a Quentin Tarantino film yet. Of course, there have been some films by Tarantino that I've liked more than others, but even the ones that maybe I haven't liked the most, still I like them very much. So I'm looking forward to this very much indeed. Oh yes, I'm looking forward to this very much indeed. So, Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. The other thing, well, I suppose if I were to say another thing about Tarantino is how should I put it? I love the way that he seems, I think that his films are so, they have such a great rhythm to them, and there is such a great, it has such a natural rhythm to the dialogue and all that. I know it's not the same, but it always reminds me of, in Shakespeare you have this thing called, what is it, iambic pentameter. There's a certain rhythm to the way that the words are arranged, so that there's a certain flow, and therefore it feels like a kind of natural progression of words, in terms of the amount of syllables in a particular line, etc., and where the emphasis is placed. I feel like Tarantino's works operate on a similar vein or similar level, in that there is a beautiful rhythm in the way that the characters reveal the lines of dialogue. And so it's always a pleasure to listen to the speech. And this is something that is, I think, very famous in terms of what makes Tarantino such a popular filmmaker. It's because his dialogue is just so rich and fun to listen to. I still remember to this day the Siskel and Ebert review of Pulp Fiction. I think the both of them were just raving about the film, and they're just talking about how you could just listen to the dialogue, and it's so rich and filled with energy and life, and it's just wonderful. I just remember, it must have been maybe, they were raving in particular about Pulp Fiction, and how that the word correctamundo is used in that film. And I just remember just their excitement. They were so giddy. They were just like school children, just so happy and just so alive and just so excited about a film. And it was so great and so inspiring to watch their reaction. And I still remember to this day, correctamundo. So whenever I hear that word, which is not so often, but whenever I hear that word, I think not only of Pulp Fiction, but I also think of Siskel and Ebert. So anyway, so correctamundo. That's a word I think I'd like to use more in my own daily vocabulary, but who knows, maybe that should be something I should try to increase, correctamundo. So anyway, sorry about that. So so that's Tarantino, and maybe one of these days I can talk more about Tarantino's works. Tarantino's films, let's see, are they in the Criterion Collection? I know Pulp Fiction is a Criterion Collection Laserdisc, so there is a connection there with Criterion Collection, but it would be nice to see a Tarantino film in the current DVD or Blu-ray collection. I'm not sure if it'll ever happen, but it would be nice to see something like that. That would be really great, in fact, but who knows? But in any event, the works of Tarantino are very exciting to me, and therefore I was so excited and elated when I saw the 2 trailers for Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. And I know that a number of people have asked me about that, so I just wanted to address that in a video. So thank you very much for your interest in my reaction review of that particular trailer, the upcoming release. So thank you very much for being curious about what I might think about it. So that's my general impression at the moment. Of course, when the film comes out, it's very possible that it could be a disappointing work. I'm fully prepared for that possibility, but I don't necessarily think that will happen, given my experience with Tarantino's work thus far. He hasn't disappointed me yet, so yes. So that's I guess that's my feelings on the new film, Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. The trailers, at least. So I don't know if you've seen the trailers. If you have, what are your thoughts about it? Or what are your thoughts about Tarantino in general? I know that maybe he is not necessarily a filmmaker that is universally loved. I know that some people might have issues with his work, and I think there's a legitimate case to be made that his work is not completely above criticism and scrutiny. I don't think any filmmaker's works are, but his films, I think, are they can be legitimate subjects of criticism of a certain kind and variety, and so that's perfectly fine if you feel the need to criticize his works. I very much love to hear what your take is on his works in general, or specifically, if you like. So if you have any thoughts or comments about that, please let me know in the comment section below, and I'd love to have a conversation with you. I don't claim to be a Tarantino expert by any stretch of the imagination, but I don't have a good recall of his works, but I guess Correctamundo is the only thing there, or I always loved the way that John Travolta said, what you mean walk the earth? I always loved that. And I think Pulp Fiction is the one for me. I know that I suppose. Well, actually, I was going to say something about another film, but let me just save that for another video. But in any event, my friends, if you have any thoughts about Tarantino, please let me know in the comment section below. Other than that, I hope you're doing well, and please keep on watching a lot of great films, and let me know if you have any recommendations for any films you've watched either recently or any films that are maybe not so recent releases, maybe they're classic films or anything like that. I'd love to hear any recommendations you have for me. The more recommendations, the happier my life will be. If you have any recommendations, please let me know, and I will be such a happy man. So anyway, my friends, sorry about this long video, and I hope I haven't tried your patience too much. If I have, I apologize. But in any event, please be happy and healthy and well, and please keep on watching a lot of great movies. So take care, and cheers.